Well, hello everyone. My name is Doina, in case you didn't know me. If this is your first time, I am the founder of and CEO of VOLUTION, and I'm very excited to have you here today to learn more about the Stamina program. And something new that we offer in the program is the job shadowing opportunities. I know a lot of people would like to know what job shadowings are, and this is your opportunity to learn here. And for the remaining the event, please feel free to add your questions to chat, and then we'll have the Q&A aspect of this event, and we'll be able to answer your questions then. And I'm just going to speak a little bit about VOLUTION. And in case you've never been here before, some of you have been, and you're welcome back. We are a charitable organization that focuses on closing the gender gap in STEM. And we do this by inspiring girls and gender nonconforming youth to embrace STEM careers. I founded this organization in case you wanted to know, but I founded this organization because I realized that the young women from diverse backgrounds who are interested in pursuing STEM careers need additional support, and that didn't exist at the time. I mean, this organization had been in existence for about 11 years now, and there were not so many statistics, so many findings that we find now. And I like to think that we had something to do with that, and this is why you find more information. For me, what was very important that time, and still is very important, is to see diversity included, because it was very important to see that everyone, as they are happening in the workforce and today. So, why should you join Stemming Up? Stemming Up, it allows participants to learn many skills such as design thinking, coding, app building, front and back end development, prototyping, analytical skills, and thinking, UX design, business and leadership skills, which is something a unique component of our program, compared to other programs out there that are focused on technology. And we know that this program is free for qualifying students. Priority will be given to applicants from low-income households, and we offer a need-basis Wi-Fi subsidy of up to $100, so that participants pay for the internet access. We also offer up to 40 volunteer hours for all participants. We know that in high school you need that to finish high school, and then we offer that. And then additionally, we give laptops to low-income applicants, and contingent to participation in the program, they get to keep the laptops to further help succeed with their education. The application has one question, so please make sure that you answer. If you don't have a laptop, make sure they say you don't have one. If you do have a laptop, say that you do have one, because we have limited amount of laptops. So I want to make sure that people that actually don't have one will get one. And what's actually super exciting is that the Stamina program provides participants with an opportunity to win game-changing prizes such as job shadowing opportunities and mentorship, giving them the chance to learn firsthand about the careers they might be interested in exploring in the future. With that said, I am going to invite our speakers. We have one speaker here today, and I'm going to ask you to pronounce your name, because I want to make sure I pronounce it rightly. Right.
Oh, that's me.
Yes, that's you.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Roop Chandragunanan. Everybody calls me Roop.
Nice to meet you, Roop.
Same here. Awesome. So should I launch into description?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm here today representing my CEO and CSO, who is also my wife, Lakshmi Ragunanan. So I'll give you a bit of a brief on her academic career, her training, and what brought us to starting a biomedical firm in 2024. Okay, Lakshmi did a PhD in Canada. She did her master's and her BSc work outside of Canada. She's a material scientist, a project manager. She has well over 15 years experience in industry, R&D, development, manufacturing. She spent most of her time in academia, which most PhDs do, until 2019 when she decided to actually join a startup with a bunch of her PhD friends in the biotechnology field. She spent 4 years there working with a cross-functional team, building out their research, standing up 2 labs. And at the end of that period, she decided, okay, she moved out of academia. She worked in a startup, and we had a bit of a discussion in 2024, and we decided to launch our own startup. So she's the founder of the company and one of the co-founders. And what we are is a female-led, female science-driven, female fertility company. So we're in a very niche market. And we're at this stage, we are research and development. Key things, you're in the questions you asked about key things that advice she would give. And what she said is be good at strong interpersonal communication, right? And be willing to engage everyone, even persons who don't agree with you.
Right. I've
Right?
actually had a conversation with someone earlier about that part where,
Yes.
you know, what is it that you should be doing? Like what advice I would give, and I say, well, just believe in yourself and engage. And even if you don't agree, just engage anyways. Is that for yourself as well, Roop? Is that what you wish that you knew when you were beginning your career as well?
Well, my career path is quite different.
Okay.
What I wish I knew when I started my career is that the career paths are not linear. And this might sound counterintuitive, but your career may advance much faster than you think it would. And you may not be prepared. You may be prepared academically for it, but in terms of leadership skills. Because if you are technically competent, especially in science, if you're a brilliant scientist, and this goes generally, or a brilliant project manager, you may move up very quickly. But nobody tells you to go and do a leadership course, or to go and learn a language, or to do any of this training. And those are the things those things are important. And I think when I started out, if I knew those things, I would have probably invested more time in those soft skills because they become very important as you get promoted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to say great things about STEM in our program, but I will say a great thing about STEM in our program. One thing that we have in the program is pitching. Because some people will say, why would you have pitching into the program? And I say, well, because I think that just helps build confidence. We know that we have enough people that learn how to code, but we don't have enough people learn how to sell themselves into a job interview, or when they start their own company. It's just to get too intimidated because they don't know how to public speak. And I think that's super important. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because it's very important.
Yes. And pitching is and she have 3 points here which she knew that were very specific. One is advocate for oneself, seek mentorship, even from unsupportive colleagues.
Right.
Because if they don't support you now and you seek mentorship and you engage, you either move them from not supporting, or you could move them from being opposed to being neutral or actually supporting you. Engage. Right. And the other one is, which may be controversial, academia is not the career path she would have pursued in the beginning. Network, collaborate, and engage, and always be aware that what the career that you think is an ideal career upon graduation, 10 years on, may not be the career you want.
Right.
Or you have any desire to be in.
That is very true because we grow as people, right? And then we get to learn a couple of things and get to work in different companies. And then we get to realize that, wow, this is not exactly, if you know how many jobs I've had since I started my career, and it's not, people don't expect I did what I did. I did things like I was a hairdresser. I started my own renovation company when I had
Oh,
zero renovation experience. I don't have an MBA. I just started businesses. You know, it's just not really about what you learn in school. It's about what speaks through to yourself, right?
yes.
Am I right?
Yes,
Am I
and that
right? Or am
and
I
that
right?
does change, and that does
Yes.
change as you grow.
Yes.
And also, if you achieve your goals, many times when you achieve them, they're no longer shiny.
Right.
So you wanted something else. You want to achieve
You
something
go.
else. So you move on.
Right. You go for the
Yes.
next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and that's how you grow. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's super important to understand. Like, in some people, it's okay for them to sit still where they are because this is what they really enjoy doing. Some people have found a purpose really early in life. And I know I met a lot of young people through our programs at Revolution, and I have seen them know they know exactly what they want to do, and I'm really happy for them. But in one way, I am not shocked when they do the same thing 20 years from now, but I'm also not shocked that they change their mind either. So it's okay either way, right?
Yes, it is. And
Yeah.
always be willing to switch.
Right.
After 10, 20 years, you do reach a certain level where you've got compensation, you've got pay, you've found your tribe, but always be willing to try something new.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a but make it a calculated risk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Joe.
Yes.
And I
So
saw
now,
you go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
You had
Go
some
ahead.
questions on like job shadowing and
Yes.
should I
Yes,
relaunch
I'm
it?
going. Yeah, I can ask you. So just so people know what you're
Yeah.
answering.
Mhm.
So what do you think the benefits of job shadowing opportunities for youth are?
Well, this one might seem obvious given the conversation we just had, the reality of careers.
Right.
The way careers are presented on television, YouTube is not the reality of those careers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they even the way if you speak to someone who's a family member in that career, even what they tell you is not the reality of what that career is.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you get very similar to Instagram, when you speak to them, you look at the television, you get the highlight reel. You see the best
Right.
parts of that career. Job shadowing gives you the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
You see exactly what it is about. So if you're in sciences and you see someone is in charge of a research lab, you see them making the presentations, going to the conferences. That's what they'll put up on social media. When they talk about it, they say, these are the things I do. They wouldn't tell you 4 to 5 days is spent in the lab by themselves.
Right.
And job shadowing lets them see that this is the reality of the job.
Yes.
So
And it's
this,
not to discourage people from getting into that field, but to get
no,
them to prepare them for what it actually is. Because I know some people do see a lot of the information, whether they, like you said, the highlights. And then when they get into it, they say, that's not what I expected. And then why didn't I invest 4 years in university or 5 years for this when I thought it was something different? Or they learn exactly what they're getting into and they look forward to finishing their 4 years of education so that they can actually do that, right?
correct. So they get a
Yeah.
reality of the career. And the other
Right.
thing, the other item that she has listed here, and I agree with this one wholeheartedly, is getting a mental stakeholder map.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a material scientist, when you job shadow, you get a mental map of all the people that you interact with in that stakeholder ecosystem. So say
Mm-hmm.
you're a chemist, it's not just it could be you could lecture, you could teach, but there's also jobs in the government in terms of regulatory, there's startups. You build that ecosystem out so you know all the jobs that could be available, all these possible career paths.
Mm-hmm.
And many times when you go looking for jobs or you go looking for career, you start with the career and try to come backwards. When you do a better job shadowing, when you actually see the reality of all the people that like a chemist or a biologist will communicate with, you realize, hey, there's an entire ecosystem of jobs out there, careers I
Mm-hmm.
can do if I follow if I get into STEM, if I be very specific and get into either chemistry or material science. So you get to see the broad spectrum of where you can go.
Right.
Because many people think you do STEM or you do IT or any of those things. There's just a very few jobs you can do or very few career paths. But in fact, there's a wide number of jobs you can do that you could do additional training for. And that additional training, those career paths, you very quickly learn that from job shadowing. A quick conversation with
Right.
someone who told you who is managing a team doing product development, who to tell you they started out in physics,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And then they will give you that career path of all the things they did. And what you get is a mental map of how do I get there? What do I need to
Mm-hmm.
qualify? What experience I have to have? And that is something that job shadowing gives you the reality of it very quickly, in a couple of minutes of having a
Right.
conversation with someone. Right.
That is very true. That is very, very true. Because yes, that is everything you said. It's 100% sure, and I can put a stamp on it, stamp of approval. Only because I've been at Revolution for so long, and I have met so many people in the field, and we've had panels. We went inside companies, and uh, just sharing this story to say I started here and I thought it was this way, but then I learned the hard way that it wasn't that way. But then when I had a mentor, when I went and I spoke with someone, when they told me about this, I got to learn what it actually is. So it's very, very true. Very, very true. Okay, so now we are very honored to have partnered with you for the seminar program, so you can offer our students a job shadowing day. So, um, would you be open to talking a little bit about what participants should expect from a job shadowing day with you?
So what I have here is some notes, and this
Yes,
is and what we have is two different groups. You need to tell us, we
yes,
need to know what they are looking for. Because like if there's somebody who looking to get into management or managing a lab or running a unit, what
mm-hmm,
you could get from that is like looking at how decision making takes place, what information is
right,
required, legal ramifications. Because surprisingly, what people don't expect from a biotech firm is we spend an enormous amount of time dealing with legal stuff,
mm-hmm, yes,
regulation. Um, Lab work is there, but a lot of it, the work is actually getting along the regulations, getting things done, looking at funding. So if they're
mm-hmm,
doing a job shadowing and interested in these things, we could do that. Insight into decision making and factors
right,
that influence decision making, because many times you see decisions made within the scientific field, within these startups, and we ask why did they do that? It's because the factors that actually influence decision making are not the ones we think. So they could
mm-hmm,
get quite a bit of insight into that. And now if there's somebody who wants to be more very hard science, they fascinated by the science and tech, um, time at the lab, um, see how it's done, do a visit, and basically to have a look at it. So
yeah,
what we'll need to know is exactly what they're interested in,
mm-hmm,
and they'll have to tell us in advance because we need to make arrangements. So they
right,
could get so with at this point they could see the two things. They could see the business side of it, the operational side of it, but they could see the hard science side of it. Um,
I would
and it,
advocate for both. I think
both
it's
of them.
important for people. Yeah,
Mhm.
I would advocate for both only because, oh, they're my students and I love them and I want them to get the best experience. So that's one. But
Right.
also because I think it's important to see both aspects. So one thing that I've always advocated for at Revolution, especially particularly with this program, is that, and this is why we actually have not just coding, we have business concept within the program. They get all about marketing, EI, business development, financing, and all this stuff. And it's because once you work in a company and you understand what takes place in that company, not just in your own department, I believe you do a better job at your work and you produce better. And then you understand how things are done. And I think you just get a better, not just a better understanding, but like a well-rounded education, let's put it that way, about what the company does and what you can get involved. And as you mentioned, again, as you mentioned that you think you might want to do that one thing, but when you learn about the other part, then that might be
Yes.
something that might be of interest. So that's why I'm advocating for both, and I put my hand up for both for my students. Yeah,
Yes,
so
so that is
thank
what,
you.
and the other thing that I did, we had a quick chat on in terms of career
Mm-hmm.
development advice.
Mm-hmm.
And the option is not to give any.
Okay.
Give the information,
Yes.
present the reality,
Yes.
and let these students decide,
And I believe that's what the job shadowing day
right?
actually is. You get access to information and then you make a decision from there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Thank you for that. That is so true. That is so true. No, because sometimes we give people advice because we think it's a great
Your
idea.
perspective, yes.
Yes. And then we also don't understand where people come from and what they actually need. You know, as an example, in our program, we know that I want people to go into STEM, but not everybody is interested in STEM. But what we do and what I'm in the beginning, I was like, you have to get into STEM. And now I'm like, no, this program is for you to figure out whether you like getting into STEM or not.
Mm.
And you are young enough to know whether this is
Pivot.
something that you could do, right? And before you get into post-secondary, before you get to work so hard for some courses
Mm.
that you might not even be relevant, it's just a really good opportunity for you to figure out whether this is something you do. And it's easier to make decisions when you're younger, where you don't have bills to pay and responsibilities. And then later on, when you have responsibilities, you make decisions based on the things that you have to do, not exactly what you really want to do. So that's why, you know, be presented with the information and then make your decision. Then that's the best advice. That's the best advice, and not to get advice. Yeah,
But
that's a
there's
good one.
one advantage of being in STEM. This is purely academic.
Yes.
It's easier to pivot to pivot from being a STEM student into another field like business
Mm-hmm.
or the arts.
Mm-hmm.
That it is possible for a STEM student to do that with some additional courses, but it's very difficult for an arts or business student to get into sciences. It's not possible because they will have to
Mm-hmm.
start over from the beginning. So
Right.
if you're in STEM, you do have a bit of an advantage that if you want to pivot out of STEM, you can do it.
Right.
So you have a
Good
bit more
point.
flexibility.
Good point. Um, I have one more question, and then we're gonna let our
Mm.
audience see if they have some questions. So, what I would like to know is what advice, well, whether it's for our students or everyone in
Mhm.
general, what advice do you have for youth in the program or youth in general when it comes to preparing for a job shadowing day? Like someone has got an opportunity, they're about to have a job shadowing day. How should they prepare for something like this?
Very easy. Um, 2 to 3 items of what you want. Sit
Mm-hmm.
down, take a moment. What do you want out of it? You're about to spend a day or more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to get out of it?
Right.
And you formulate if it's decision making experience, operational experience. You want to see how a lab runs. Um, do you want to go and see logistics? Write it down and send it to the person who you're going to be job shadowing. Make sure they know in advance what you want to get out of it. And what that will do is they could set up their day to make sure that the day you're job shadowing, they're doing those things,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's over a period of time, a week or more, you have like 3 or 4 of those things so that you know what you want and they know what you want as well. So it's not hit or miss, it's not by chance.
Right.
So they could plan for you coming, make sure that they're doing those activities and that you can see those activities. So I think that's
Good point.
in terms of getting ready, that is what I would say to do. Have the 3 items, um, and be ready with them and make sure the person who you're shadowing knows what you want to get out of it. Many times I have seen this happen as well, that persons have sent in what the company assigned someone for you to shadow. You're sending what you want to the person, and the person, there's a back and forth, and they said, you know what? I may not be the person you want to shadow. There's another person,
Mm-hmm.
and they put you onto that person.
Right.
So it actually delivers the value that you want.
I like that. I never thought about that, but I like it. I'm glad I asked that question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's open up to the audience, see if anyone has a question. There's a question on chat, so I'm going to ask. So if anyone
Okay.
else is ready, please prepare your questions. What advice do you give people in order to catalyze advice in their career growth?
Can you repeat that? Is it in the chat?
Yes.
Let me pull it up. To advance their career growth,
Yes.
every well, this is me answering because Lashmi didn't give any notes on
Yes,
these and she
that's
hasn't joined.
okay.
Um, network,
Mm-hmm.
network, and network. Speak with everyone. Be open and honest, but just advance your career growth. I assume by growth you mean vertical, right? Correct? Do you want to get promoted? Um, network as much as possible, and always be willing to advocate for yourself. If you have an idea, say it. If you have a solution, present it. And don't be afraid. And this might sound silly, but don't be afraid of making a fool of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an idea, shoot it out there. All it takes to get very quickly the attention of senior management is for you to solve a problem that they couldn't solve. And you want to advance your career very quickly, vertically in any company. And I'm speaking from experience. Support your boss, get your boss promoted. If you are the one that is the key person that's supporting your boss and getting things done, the minute he gets promoted, guess who he wants to take with him? You're following him up the ladder real quick. It happened to me more than once. I went more than once that has happened to me where I worked with some a director. He moved up, and within a month he was like, okay, no, you have to come too. You want to advance your
Right.
career vertically, get your boss promoted, and network. It might sound silly, but that and it builds your reputation.
Networking is very, very important. It is an art, but it's also a skill that no matter how far we go with social media or internet or anything, if we network properly, it's super important. And it's not just about what we get out of that person, it's what can we give to that person? How can we,
Uh,
right? How can we help them? Because
one
that's
of
how they remember us, right?
one of the techniques I use, and this is something I do it all the time in meetings and businesses and networking, is what what is the challenges that person faces? If it's your boss, your colleague, and how can I solve it for them? What is the
Mm-hmm.
most important thing to them, and how can I make it easier for them? What is the challenge they face, and how can I solve it for them?
Right.
So if someone needs a project completed, get it done. They need a report to review a week in advance, make sure they have it.
Yes.
I see another question. What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the field? Biggest changes in what fields? STEM as a
STEM.
whole, the entire STEM?
We can just speak
Mhm.
STEM and we can also speak your field
All
of
right.
expertise.
In STEM, um, it's outsourcing and consolidation. The big companies have bought up all the small companies, and outsourcing has grown. A lot of the research now is being done outside of Canada. Companies start off doing the research in Canada because of things like IRAP and MyTax and so on. But once they no longer qualify for those programs, they go where it is cheaper, so they start outsourcing their research outside of Canada. And a lot of companies have actually started moving to the US. Um, it is not very public, but a lot of companies also have left. A lot of STEM companies, once they grow to above 10 to 20 million, they move south to the border,
Mhm.
or they get bought by a US company. Specific to biotechnology, AI is impacting everything. But what is happening in biotechnology specifically is the use of AI in drug development. So looking at existing drugs and figuring out where else it can be applied and coming up with new formulations. And this is apart from AI. It's just the building out of all the research that was done previously and making it available. So if you're looking for a blood clotting agent, previously we'll have to go through the literature. There was a pretty long process of research. Now you could probably get that in a week. All the research done on it, figure it out, what specific needs to be done, who is the expert, send an email. So within a week, you could know everything that needs to be about a specific topic, who are the expert, contact them, get information from them. So what has happened is everything in biotech has accelerated. It is happening much faster than before. So what the change is, if you have an idea now, you have to develop it as quickly as possible and move to IP. Because believe it or not, it have three other people who probably sat in a conference with you, heard that idea, and they're working on it. And whoever gets
Yeah.
there first, how IP works, is they get the patent for it. So
Some
now
people don't know what IP is, so if you want to mention that, because
IP
we
is
have some here.
intellectual property.
Okay.
And what means that you have the right to make or sell an item, a technology that you've developed. But normally, I think people are familiar with a patent. So you get to get granted a patent. It's if you come up with it, if you file first, you get it. But previously, it would take a while for technology to develop. But because it has accelerated because of information technology and because of the rate at which people communicate, you have to be very careful with what you say if you have an idea, because someone else may just take your idea and move very quickly towards getting it completed, and have a patent before you even turn around twice. So you have to actually secure your ideas now, but still cooperate. But that process is happening very quickly. So that the race in terms of technology development and getting patents, it has accelerated significantly. So that's the biggest change I've seen so far. Yeah, in the last 2 years is where that race has really gone. You have to move fast. If you have an idea, you have to move fast on it. If you don't, somebody's gonna beat you to it. And I could give an example. With COVID, we had 3 different vaccines coming out from 3 different companies, and that's just an example that is everybody knows about. So every problem and every issue that is being solved, there's a number of people working on it. So it's actually a race. Everything in science and tech now is a race. Who gets there first takes the prize. And in science, it's a winner take all. If you win, you get everything. If you come second, that's it, you get nothing.
This is it's scary and exciting at the same time because you want to be
Yeah.
the first. Gives you the rush. But it's also scary because like, oh my God, so what if I just get second? But there's
Yeah.
no one thing I want to iterate, especially for the young people in the audience, is like, don't be afraid to not start something just because you think, oh my God, I'm just going to get second. You learn from it and you take it on to the next idea, and then you're going to get that one to be the first. Because if you never try anything, you're never going to go anywhere, right?
Yes. And don't be too
Yeah,
scared of coming in second. Many times if you come in second, the person who came first will buy you.
yeah.
If you start a company and you come in second, the person who win the race and made the $1 billion is probably going to buy you just to make sure that you don't start another idea.
Right. So you still win. At the
Yes,
end of the
just
day, you still win. So just don't stop trying something just because it sounds scary, or because it's you think you're going to lose altogether, because you're not. Like, I mean, I know many people and that have failed, myself included. I've failed so many times, even with VOLUTION when we started. Just, failed so many times. Even one of our programs, we tried it for 5 years, and finally it took us 5 years to figure out this is what we want to do with this program. Never given up, just say, well, we're not going to do it because it didn't work the first time. So just don't give up. Any other questions? I am not seeing on the chat, but any other question, if you want to, you can still unmute yourself and ask a question. And as they say, if you speak now or forever hold your peace. There's also that saying. But I want to thank you, Roop, for everything that you shared today. I think it was really useful information. I'm very excited for our students to actually have a job shadowing day at Mammon Biomedical. I think they will get to learn a lot. They get to learn from you, from your wife as well. And there's never a there's never a missed opportunity, right? To if you get to see something, and even if you don't go into biomedical, you get to learn about the business development of a startup company, which I think is still a win in itself. So that's super exciting. So thank you so much. Oh, let me see. Oh, thank you, Doina. Oh, is job sharing available for adults? A website to go to? I don't have that here, Ravi, job shadowing for adults, but if there's anything, we'll be able to share. I don't know, to be honest with you, job shadowing, I've heard about it for a really long time, but it's something that is very hard to figure out where to go. This is why we offer it in the program, for our participants. But if it's something that we're going to create in the future, I'll be sure to let you know. So thank you. Okay, now I am going to, well, speaking of our program, so I know that you learned so much about the job shadowing opportunities at the STEMing Up and what we offer. I really hope that I get to see you guys in the program, some of you that are here. You can feel free to scan the code and it takes you to the program application, or just go into the website. You can click on the apply here button. The actual thing that I want you to remember is, please make sure you complete the application. If there's stuff that is missing in the application, it's going to be incomplete and it's going to be hard for us to accept you in the program. We might put you on the wait list. When it comes to your address, we are opening our program across Ontario. So if you're just going to put a name on the street, we don't know whether you're from London, Ontario, or from Mississauga, or whether you're from, Ottawa. I have no idea. So I need you to make sure that you please add your complete address, including your city and your postal code. And if you have an apartment number, please make sure that you add that as well, especially if we need to send you a laptop. We might send it to the wrong address and we cannot send you another one, because we don't want that, right? We want to make sure that we send it to you. And the application deadline is July 26th. And you will, after you apply, please expect a response by August 5th. You will get a response whether you've been accepted in the program or whether you've been in the wait list. Please check your emails as often as possible, because we are only using emails to communicate with you. It's hard to use the phone because sometimes we might not get through, but check your emails, please, because this is how we're going to communicate with you. Other than that, please also feel free to send us an email. It's stemming up, which is the name of the program, at hervolution.org. But just scan the QR code. That will take you to our website, and you can find even our contact information, how to get in touch with us. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. And I want to thank you, Ruth. Thank you for being here and sharing all this information. Thank you for everyone for being here, and truly appreciate your being here with us. And I hope to see you in the program.